Hi, my name is Oystein Solberg. We're at the Institute for Culinary Arts, where we're hanging out with Chef Michael Combs. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on this beautiful day.
Of course. And how you doing, little fella? This looks like a Ben, doesn't it?
It does.
Ben the lobster.
It is a male,
Yeah.
but he's in good shape. You can tell he's alive.
Looks like a healthy guy.
Yep, and he's moving around a lot,
Very
so that means he's
feisty.
in good shape.
Should we or like arm wrestle him?
Go ahead.
It looks ready, right?
We can try.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, look. I mean, I'll grab this cloth. If that's the case, because this is a big one right here.
Yeah. All right, so I'm guessing we're doing. I'm guessing we're going vegetarian today, right?
Pescatarian, maybe.
Yeah, baby vegetarian. All right. All right, so we got a lobster here. Looks like a happy fella.
It does.
What are we gonna do with this little guy?
Well, we're gonna dispatch him here in a second, but
That's
so
a very polite word of using.
yes,
That's very nice.
we're gonna harvest it. We're gonna,
Yeah.
But basically, we're going to do it in a humane manner. So,
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of questions out there about so people ask a lot whether you have to have the lobster alive. Why does it always have to be alive, or can you eat one that's been dead, or all those questions? Don't you think?
Yeah.
You see that all the time, and how come we always have to kill the lobster and it's alive, right?
Yeah.
Go to Red Lobster. I haven't been to Red Lobster in a long time, but
I don't think I've ever been.
they used to have them in the tanks. I don't even know if they do that anymore, honestly. But they should be alive, or they should be dispatched, cooked, and frozen,
Yeah.
or dispatched and frozen,
Yeah.
or the tail taken away from the head and frozen.
Yeah.
Those are basically the way, and so those are basically the ways you want to purchase this lobster. If it's dead, don't buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've had some.
That's sketchy.
Yeah, it's sketchy. Not only the other thing is once they die, they release an enzyme, and when they release an enzyme, it starts to eat away at the meat. It just these decompose very rapidly.
Yeah.
And so if you've ever had a lobster tail that's kind of mushy,
Just mealy and just
and it's
chalky.
because it probably died prematurely
Yeah.
before you harvested it. So. I honestly I've never heard of anybody dying from eating a lobster that has died.
Except the lobster itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
So I couldn't tell you that. I think you'll probably survive, right? But
Yeah.
you want a good quality lobster if
Totally.
you're going out of your way to pay so much for these little guys.
Yeah, because they're not cheap by any means.
No, they're not. I think these are about $20 each,
Yeah.
which isn't really bad. So $20 a pound, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And so
But most of them are sitting around a pound, a little bit above sometimes.
exactly. And I bet
Yeah.
you this guy is. I bet you he's about a little over a pound,
Yeah.
which
so-
is decent.
Yeah. So it's not like an everyday thing, but
No.
it's a beautiful day. The grill is hot, and the lobsters are crawling. Or he's kind of just looking
Yeah.
right now.
And we like to show you a
I
different way of.
I think it's suspicious.
Well, I'm sure he is. He's probably wondering why he's out of the water and
Yeah.
he's in the sun like this. But I'm sure
We
he's
figured
enjoying
we already took him for a walk. Like we kind of walked to the park this morning, so we had a nice morning with him.
Yep, he's ready to go.
Yeah.
So also packaging it when you get it from the store.
Yeah.
So when you do, normally they'll probably, well, depending on where you're from, but really what you should do is you kind of just keep them, put some wet cloths on him.
Yeah.
Nice, cool. Put them in the fridge. It kind of gets them dormant, so they're kind of like just in a relaxed state.
Yeah.
And then we also like to, before we dispatch them, we like to get them real cold too, so that way they're kind of out of it,
They're sedated a little
Yeah,
bit.
and you know what I mean. That's just the best way to go. You don't want them fully conscious.
Kicking around.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, keeping them wet, keeping them in damp cloth. Don't ever put them in regular water from your faucet. Any of those things, it'll kill them.
Yeah.
You can't put them in the bathtub overnight. You can't do any of those things. It's not
Yeah.
going to help. It's not going to help.
Like wet papers or like seaweeds and stuff is good.
Yeah,
storing
sometimes
them
you get
in.
it with seaweed, don't
Yeah.
you?
Mhm.
And so depending on where you're at, they'll just pack it in seaweed, and so it's nice and,
Yeah,
and
but-
wet and damp and
Dark, cold, happy place.
yep. Just like if you were going to bed, right?
Yeah. Like that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the easiest? So a lot of people say like you got to go head first in a boiling pot of water, yada yada yada. But like that's not the only way to cook a lobster.
No, it is not.
Like there's more than one way to go about this thing. So what? It's kind of like putting his out of his. I was about to say misery, but he's had a very good life.
He's happy.
Yeah, it's like he's just chilling.
Yep. He is.
So what's the most humane way of doing it besides going head first in the pot?
So the other way of doing it is basically cutting right through the head. Okay, so these things don't have a brain; they have what's called a ganglion. A ganglion is a bunch of nerves. So it's like a bug. Really, it's like a bug, but it's a really large bug.
Yeah, this
And
is like
so-
a cockroach.
Yeah. So of course we can go to this whole thing and people can debate whether it really knows what's happening or not. But most likely it doesn't know what's happening.
Yeah.
All they're kind of
Most of the time, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
And same with me. So
Yeah.
so it's just all it knows is that it eats and it procreates
It's
and that sort of thing.
instinct,
Right.
yeah.
It's just instinct. And so basically what I like to do is you can do it head first, but to me it's a little more difficult. I mean, or to get down this way. And I sometimes cut it.
Sometimes it can push to the side.
Right. And so
Yeah.
you want to do the best possible way of dispatching the lobster and the fastest.
Yeah.
And so I turn them over so that way I have a flat surface. I don't have to worry about the knife going through anything, cutting me or anything like that. And so
Because it's already kind of like a natural crevice right there in the
exactly.
middle.
So you're gonna see there's right here, and plus we're gonna grill it that way too, so it works
Yeah.
out perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll just go right where the mouth is, really quickly cut it. It'll come out right here where the ganglion is, and it just happens really quick. So that's how I dispatch them.
You're such a humane kind of guy.
I try. I mean, you got to do it right. That's the way I look at it. So basically, I'll kind of put it right over there where the mouth is, and we'll go real quick.
Boom.
Yep, gone. And he's gone right now. You may see a little bit of moving around, but the moving around is also from
It's just passive.
yeah, just spasms. And
Yeah.
so you'll see a little liquid, and you really should, because that means it's in good shape. And when it gets really dry, it's because you had him for a long time
Yeah.
or it's been out of the water. You know?
Yeah.
And so right now he's gone, but the other thing, so we're just going to cut him right in half. Am I correct?
Yep.
And so the other thing you can do is if you just want to cook the tail or you want to cook things separately, you can take the tail off now
Yeah.
as well. So we're going to cut just right through them. Make sure you have a nice sharp knife. And so we're just going to cut them right down the center.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's cutting super nice.
Yep. And so you're going to see if there's any coral in there, the coral, the liver, all that good stuff. And so just make sure we cut them down. And to me, it's easier to see everything inside, and so you can clean them up really well. So you see, just like this here.
Looks beautiful.
Yep. So this is kind of what it looks like in the inside here.
So like it's very different than when you see like lobster at a lot of like grocery stores and stuff like that. Like if you see like the tails, which
Right.
have already been like poached off a little bit. So this is just very beautiful, nice and fleshy.
And that's what you want to see. I mean, you don't see any discoloration in there, so it doesn't have any disease
Yeah.
or anything like that, or any parasites. They're not really associated with parasites, and so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Some ocean fish are. But usually
you
you
can
cook
get like
them.
worms and
Yep.
like little maggots and stuff in there. Yeah.
And so you don't see any of those little things in here. But you'll see, like I said, there's not much of a brain in there at all. I mean, this is where that little
That
bundle of nerves
ganglion.
is. Yeah, there's not much at all. I mean, look how it's right there.
Yeah.
Not much at all. But in this way, it's very easy to pull this out, right? We like the tamale. So you have,
You just kind of peel it right out.
yep, here's a tamale. Ooh, look at this.
It's a little happy little pile of stuff.
Yep. So this is a little. This is what goes down the back of the
Mm-hmm.
little vein there, and you should just pull right out. Actually. There we go.
Like so, if you try to peel the tail out of the meat out of the tail now, like it wouldn't come out. Like it doesn't really release until you go into water.
Right.
So that's why, like a lot of time when you see them in stores, like they're already been like not cooked through, but kind of par cooked to just kind of release from the shell a little bit.
Exactly.
But like if we're going on a grill, like this is really a wonderful, wonderful way of going.
It is, and if you like so this is, you can see it really it looks really nice.
Yeah,
actually.
it looks
So,
super fresh.
and you can eat that. You can definitely eat that.
I think for a lot of people, it's like a textural thing.
It is. I agree with you. Right.
Yeah.
It's like kind of it's not the same as uni, right? But it kind of is like in the same form as that. If you like that type of flavor. And so we'll pull this out. You can make a sauce with it. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. You know, so
like traditional biscuits usually finished off with that, and like you just kind of like pass it, get it super fine, and just add it in right at the end. Like it's tasty stuff. That looks absolutely beautiful.
Yep. So it's all ready to go, cleaned up, ready to go. I recommend cook it, since if you look at the consistency and this how thin this is, we already know that this is going to cook before the claws are going to cook, right?
Yeah.
And so with that being the case, I recommend taking the claws off.
And just cook them separate.
And we cook them separate. We'll put those on first, actually, and then we'll come back, and then we'll...
So it's still finished at the same time.
Exactly.
Right? Because you don't want to throw on a tail and the claw at the same time, and then pull the tail, and that one cools down before the claws is even close to done.
Exactly. It's all about timing. It's all about having... think about that too. My mom's one of those people that would always have the turkey like ready first, and then it would be sitting out for a long time, and then like all the
then start your stuffing type.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, Mom, we always talk about, but that's how it is, and we look forward to that every year.
Yeah. You're such a good guy. You know, Mom, gonna see you this, right?
I know. After I said that, I was just thinking of that. But yeah, we want to get them done at the same time, so you can enjoy them at the same time. You don't have to wait, right? And so
this is absolutely beautiful.
Yep, this is what we're looking at right now.
Awesome, excellent. So we got to get some stuff ready to throw these puppies on and grill. So you guys stay tuned. We'll be right back. We'll show you guys how to cook this. Cook this thing's delicious. All right, then we're back here again at the patio. We're gonna try and make some food out of all this stuff.
Awesome.
I'm kind of excited. So we got some stuff. So on the grill here, I've been melting a little bit of butter. Like it's just regular butter. I put it. You can just do it on the stove too. Just kind of get it nice and hot. I grilled a couple of lemons. I'm gonna pop those in there. Grilling the lemons really just kind of changes the flavor profile quite a bit. And this is going to be a butter that we're going to use to kind of brush on the lobster and make them all happy.
Even more yummy.
So we got a good old pile of tarragon that we just nicked out of the garden. And just going to let that steep in that butter. So like you don't want it to be like 1,000,000 degrees. Like you don't want to like evaporate all the butter.
You don't want to deep fry it.
Yeah, you just want it hot enough to steep and really kind of pull the flavor out of the tarragon. But too hot and it's going to get very medicinal and just very, very odd. So I'm just going to put that to the side and just let it sit and steep like a good old cup of tea.
Yep.
So we got a random little assortment of some vegetables here. We got some shiitake mushrooms. Extremely flavorful.
They are.
They grow on, so like Japanese shiitake, they usually grow on fallen over rotten wood or like big logs. So the stem is usually very, very hard, very firm. Great flavor for like stocks and broths and stuff like that.
But not good to eat because they're just tough.
Yeah.
Very woody.
Yeah. So what I usually do, I just use, like don't cut it up because that's going to leave a little root end there. You just kind of pull it right off. That way you know you get all the woodsy stuff right out of there. So we're gonna do some shiitakes, and we got some other wonderful things in from the garden today that I'm gonna use.
Yep.
Bunch of the shiitakes. We got this beautiful head of cabbage. I'm gonna use a little bit of that. So this is a very young cabbage, so it's very small. It's not going to be nearly as bitter. Like the bigger they get, they're going to get bitter and not.
They almost get radishy.
Tasty.
Like they almost get like a strong taste like that.
But like when they're little like this, like they're super sweet and just delicious. So I'm just going to cut. So leave a little piece of the core onto each wedge.
That's just going to hold it together if you grill.
Exactly. And like I'm not going to cook them. I'm not going to grill them all the way through. I'm going to char them.
Got it.
And then the inside will still be like raw, so it gets bitter and sweet and delicious. And if
we put a little salt on there, it cuts through bitterness too. It kind of adds a little.
Totally. We got a couple of broccoli stems right here.
There you go.
So just kind of cut them into like long pieces like this. Longer pieces will make them just easier to handle on the grill as well. That way they won't deal with them falling between the grates and all that kind of junk. We've got a couple of peppers. Just gonna leave them whole just like that.
These look like Anaheim, just what we have out of the garden actually.
Yep. And then we got a couple of green onions. I'm just gonna cut the fuzzy ends.
Green onions are great grilled.
And the tops. Oh, it's so delicious. It's one of my favorite things to grill. Like they're so they got these meaty qualities after you grill them. Like they're awesome. We got a little bit of daikon radish. So I'm just gonna cut. So this one I'm gonna cut them into like blocks. That way we can get a good little grill on them, and then we can chop them up further afterwards. So we're gonna make like a grilled vegetable slaw almost.
Okay, that makes sense.
So it's gonna be a happy little pile. I'm kind of excited.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna spread it all out on here. And then we gotta get a little El Seasoning on here, and just all of the fun stuffs.
I need some oil, yeah.
A little drizzle drazzle. Whee!
A little salt.
Oh, the wind is taking my salt.
There you go.
A little sprinkle dinkle. Same on the shrooms too. Alright, because if you try and season them dry, like the salt's not gonna stick, like it's just gonna fall right off and it'll just be major hoopla. All right, so we're gonna start popping these puppies on.
All
so
right.
what I did, I put a wire rack on the grill. I like doing that because it still lets heat through very, very well. It makes it a lot easier when dealing with smaller things. They won't just fall between the grates and just disappear.
Right. You could get those. What are those little Japanese type of things that kind of clamp together and you can flip them? They do really good with fish too.
They're super, super handy. They're very, very good. So bigger things I can lay over on the side and they'll be okay. But like smaller things I like doing on like a little wire rack. Because like the heat still gets through and it makes it so much easier to deal with. Alright, so just sprinkle those on. I'm gonna drop my radish pieces on there.
And that daikon's good. It's very neutral.
Yes.
Not very spicy or anything at all.
Yeah, for being a radish, like it's very mild and just very, very, very delicious. Like so, these are cooking up pretty fast, but we're gonna cook them quite hard. Like we got a lot of coals cut over the entire grill, so it got very just high and hard heat. Using hardwood as well. So right now we're sitting about like 550 or so degrees.
Then it's hot.
Yeah, because like I'm not looking to cook a lot of these things all the way through.
Right.
You're just kind of building a char and still leaving a good like snappy texture to it.
There you go.
Right. So while these ones are going, you want to have a look at our little friend, the lobsters.
Yep. So basically, we're going to put the claws on right now because these are going to take a little longer.
Right, because this is very, very compact.
Exactly.
Like it takes a lot of time for the heat to penetrate that shell.
Yep. And so we're gonna grill these. We'll get these going first, and then later on we'll put the bodies on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because the bodies are pretty thin. Like they'll be a pretty quick procedure.
Exactly. Those will be very quick. It just depends on the size. I mean, you could get yourself some big 32-ounce, tails, but
like lobster, you want to try and kind of keep them small.
They'll get tough too. I mean, they will get tough, and if you overcook them, they're real tough, and there's no way of bringing them back.
Yeah.
So you're better off just I would like undercook them, and then if you have to cook them a little more, you can.
Yeah. Oh yes.
140 is the temperature you want to cook this to. Is about 140 degrees. Most shellfish and fish.
Yeah.
Or raw for some of them.
Because the claws you want to take a little bit higher. You should take them to like 145 or so. But like the tail meat, you want to keep it a little bit less because it's a little bit fidgetier.
Yep, you can see they're just starting to contract from
heat. So it's the heat that just kind of shrinking the muscles a little bit.
Exactly.
So like the claws, we're not really going to season anything, right? Because
it's a saltwater animal, yeah.
And like if you season it now, like it's just going to you're seasoning shell.
Right.
And then like you can eat the shell.
You can use drawn butter, like what we have there. If you want to, we can have a little bit left for it to season it with that. Then you
just dip it in and just kind of does this little magic thing. All right, so these things are going to be cooking for a little bit. So we're going to stand here and talk about lobsters and, I don't know, butter and things. We'll be back in a little bit, and then we'll show you guys how to finish up these tails.
Yep.
All right, then we're back here again in our lobster aquarium, and we got our claws are trucking along super, super nicely.
Oh, yeah.
We already got all the vegetables like grilled off and make a happy little platter of vegetables.
Yep.
On a platter.
And those will hold real well because they're just grilled vegetables, nothing crazy. I mean,
and it's not like a hot salad. It's just like a warm grilled vegetable salad hoopla thing.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right, so these claws are looking pretty good, you feel?
I think so, yeah. I think they're ready to go. You're going to see how they're nice and toasty on both sides.
And you can really smell it.
Oh, yeah.
It just smells like lobster.
And the shell gets it'll get kind of crumbly. You'll see here.
Yeah.
As you can see here, you'll see they're starting to crack, even on the top there.
Yeah.
And so these things are they're ready to go.
They're looking beautiful.
Yeah, and they're really light now.
So even though we're using a very direct heat method, like they're basically steaming inside their own shell.
Juices, yeah, sure.
Which is a wonderful way of going about life. All right, so then we got these wonderful tails.
Yes, and so these are a little tricky, and I'd say just tricky because they're wet, right? You got a lot of moisture in them, so I want to make sure I clean this grill off really well, and it is for the most part. But what's important is that I oil. I oil the
grills. Rub it down with oil.
Yep.
All right.
And so, because I don't want it to stick to the grill.
Yeah.
I can't put this on because if I put this on these lobsters here, they got a lot of water, and so it'll just kind of pull up.
It'll just propel right off.
Yep. And so that's all I'm going to do is I'm going to just rub these with oil, and this is what's going to help it not
just
stick to the grill.
Right away.
Yep. So, because this does not need a long time, does it, Chef?
Oh, no, like they're wicked thin. Like I'd say like those will probably be done in like 3-4 minutes type thing.
Yeah, it's very quick. So what we do is we're going to do this side first, basically the inside.
Yeah.
And then we're going to switch them to the outside. So it's going to be like a little cup, and then we're going to put butter in them.
Like we got our little tarragon lime butter thing over here.
Yep.
It's gonna be delicious. And like the wonderful thing about cooking lobster this way, like when you cut them in half, like they're so flat, so you get a very good contact with the grill grates. So it's really a wonderful way of cooking them.
It is, and then you can also, so the legs are all attached. You don't have to worry about, if we took these legs off, they'd be falling through the grates.
Yeah.
And I know there's not much in they call it the carapace, but there's not much in there, but that also helps it kind of hold together.
It really helps hold the feet on, right? Because inside those, like, you can really kind of suck the meat out of there.
Exactly.
So like if you took the head off, you had to take those off, and then like how do you keep them on the grate? Like, but now they just kind of hold on there by themselves. Like,
exactly.
They're kind of magical.
And this will be a little boat for our butter too, because we're going to put butter in there, and
then you can just dip the tail in its
or whatever you want to do, you know. So it'll hold in there, and plus it'll hold all the butter in there, so it kind of cooks in the butter. And gives it nice and tasty.
Yeah, these are looking good.
Yeah, they won't take long at all.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like they're like sitting pretty loose, like they're not sticking at all.
Nope. And you'll see that's just from because we oiled the grates. You see how quick that is?
Oh, that's beautiful.
And we'll see here. I can see that they're starting to get kind of orange around that, right?
Yeah.
And so when we start to see that little, especially this guy down here, and of course because he's kind of in the middle or in the center, you'll see that he's getting there. He's almost done.
And the legs are thinner too, so you can kind of like a good indicator of doneness.
Yes, and so
that.
And then here you go. And then what we do at this time is, we just kind of put a little butter. We kind of dab some butter in there. We're pretty liberal about that, and so
we love butter.
There you go. And then this will finish him up, and we'll see how this guy's doing.
If you get flame ups, now the flame ups are just sticking to the shell side, so it's not that big of a deal.
No, not at all. It's not going to. We'll move these guys back in the back here a little bit too.
Like, so this is the butter that will serve on the side too, so you can kind of dip it as you go along as well.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, so the butter will kind of help slow down the cooking a little bit as well. So you started out super high and fast, then finish it a little bit slower. So it's kind of like steeping in butter. You can see it just...
And it smells, honestly, it smells delicious. You can smell the butter.
Oh, yeah.
In there. And who doesn't like butter with lobster?
Like, it's delicious. Right, so we're only now, like, just like a couple of minutes in, and like they're already like, they're pretty close.
Oh yeah, they're trucking along. You can see the legs. Like this guy probably back here is probably very close.
Yeah.
And
you see like the tail meat has changed from like this opaque, fleshy to like nice white. Oh, it looks absolutely delicious.
And look at that, we kind of have a little bit of, and it just, cooks in the butter there. And you, like I said, like Chef was saying, you don't have to worry about any of the.
So you want to pour the butter on top of the vegetables.
Yep. So we're gonna we'll put all that nice butter all over there. So we got some lobster butter. Can't beat that.
Yeah, because nothing goes to waste on these puppies. And even after you grill them like this, you can still use the shell to make a stock.
Oh yeah, which is great.
It really adds
a
complete different complexity as well with that little smokiness to it. It's really, really good.
So there you go.
That looks absolutely phenomenal.
So there you go. You'll see how it's nice on the inside and cooked up.
But it doesn't look dry. Like it just looks happy. But so a lot of people wonder, like, how do you get as much meat out of these puppies as possible?
Oh sure. I mean, and they're real. These will be nice. They should crack very easily, quite frankly, because they've been kind of sitting over the fire there like that. And so I like to grab a towel. I just grab this side here. It really only takes about 3 strikes. There you go.
And just to shatter it.
Yep.
Like this is a quick tap and pull back. Like you don't want to try and follow through.
Nope. And you want to just be real easy with it.
Oh, look at that.
So we'll take this little
thumb off.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Right, so the way you pulled it off is well, because inside there sits this little cartilage. So the way you pull it out, you get that cartilage out. You don't have to pick through it while eating. It just makes it a lot easier. Because then you still got the little. Looks delicious, right? The meat is just nice and soft still, like it's not Like it's nice and white, but it's tons of juice in it. Like these are perfectly cooked.
Come on, little guy.
Like it's basically like instead of cooking it in water or salt water or whatever it might be, like they're basically steaming in their own juice, right? Because the shell will trap all that juice in there, and it's really the most wonderful way of cooking anything.
These are just...
It's a little stuck in there.
Yeah, because we basically cook them to the... You cook them on dry heat like that.
It can be a little sticky.
Yeah, well, they're coming out though.
Oh yeah, that looks absolutely beautiful. All right, so then you can just crack some of those. We'll put some just on the plate. Because a lot of these you can kind of crack as you go along as well. You can just hand out bibs and a hammer and people can go to town. And it's good, like good.
Yep, look at that nice little...
Oh.
The knuckles are great.
Oh, it's the best. Like, I'd much rather have a knuckle.
Same here.
Any day of the week.
I agree with a lot of people say, no, they like the tail, but really.
Because, like, really, the more you got to work for any kind of meat, the tastier.
There you go, chef. Give it a dunk, and then you can give it a try, see what you think. How is it?
I just want to crawl up in the flower bed and have like a little lobster nap now.
There you go.
Like, that's absolutely redonkulous.
Yep, we can serve the leftover drawn butter there with the lemon and the tarragon on the side.
Sprinkle dinkle.
Yep.
Like, that is so silly good.
Real simple too.
So simple. And like, it's just, a lot of people don't do it because like they're just kind of afraid of it, and like it's expensive kind of buying. Like,
true, it is. But really, it's really just the easiest way to cook them too. I mean,
totally.
Especially out today, it's nice and beautiful outside, warm outside. You want to be outside anyway. You want a reason to be outside. You want a reason to use that nice, expensive grill you bought.
Totally. And throw some expensive lobster on there.
There you go.
Awesome. We need to dig into this real bad. Like, this is going to be good. Thank you, Mike, for hanging out and having a little lobster tail with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Be sure to check out our website for our recipes and all sorts of other fun stuff. Be sure to stay tuned for future episodes and whatever else might happen. And thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.
See ya.